State pattern design allow a value to change behavior based on its state. First, let's create a module mode social. In this module, let's create a public structure post. In this structure, we'll have two fields. One is state. Type is option. Hold a treat object box dyn state. Later, we will create or treat state. And this box dyn state means any type of implement this state treat. And we use this option because when we want to change this state, we can leave a none to this state. So this state will not be empty. Second field is content. Type is string. Let's create this treat state. Let's create a state structure draft. And let's implement this state treat for this draft structure. So later we can put the instance of this structure draft in this state field. Let's implement a new function on this post structure. impl post, and this function should be public, so we add a public keyword function new. We will use this new function to create a new instance of this post. So returning type is post, and returning post instance initial state is, because this is option, so it will be the sum hold a box new. Initial state should be this draft state, so we put the draft instance in this box. And content, let's create a new content string new. This new empty string content. Let's add another method. This method also should be public function, and we will use this method to add text to this content field. So give it a name add text. This method will take two parameters. First is $mute self, because we will change this content value, so it should be mutable. Second parameter is text. Type is $str. This method will return nothing, so it will have no returning type. In the method body is self.content, and we will use push str method to add the string value to this content. So we put this text parameter in this method. It will add this text parameters value to this content field. Let's add a second state structure. Structure pending review. Also implement state treat for this structure. Let's add a method on this treat state function request review. This method will take one parameter self. Type is box self. This type of box self means it not only will take the ownership of the self, but also this method can only work on an instance in a box. You can see in our post structure, the state is an option box type, so it means any state instance will be in a box. And this method returning type is box dyn state. Means any data type implement this state treat. let's implement this request review method on this draft structure. F1 request review. When we call this request review on this draft state, we want to change this from this draft state to this pending review state. So it will return a box new holder structure pending review instance. We also need to implement this request review method on this pending review structure. F1 request review. When we call this request review method on this pending review state, this pending review state is already request reviewed, so we just return self. This self just means a box holder or pending review instance. Let's also add a request review method on this post structure. In this IMPL post block, let's add a pub function request review, and this method will take one parameter. It's ampersand mute self. Because when we call this request review method, it will change the value of this data, so it should be mutable, and this function will return nothing. In this method body, we want to change the state value. This state value is option type value, so let's use if let to handle that option value. Sum. Give the value in this sum a name I equal to self.state. We will use the take method on this state value. It will take this option value away and leave a none to this state. This take method will return that option value. If that option value equal to this sum I, then in this block we will assign a new value to this self state equal to sum holder I. This I in this sum just state instance. So this I can be this draft instance or this pending review instance. This both structure or implement this state trait. So they all have the method this request review method. So we will call this request review method on this I. And if this I is draft state, it will return a box holder a pending review instance. If this I is pending review state, then it will return self, just as before. It's a pending review instance in a box. Let's add another state structure. Structure publish the. Also implement state trait for this structure. And now we need to implement the function request review. So if this when the state is published state, it will also return self. This self just means a box holder published structure instance. Because we only want this request review change state when the state is draft. So other state, when under other status, this request review will not change the state. Let's add another method to this trait state. F1 approve. And this method will take one parameter is self. Also, it's box self type. Returning type is also box dyn state. And we need to implement this approve method on this structure state. F1 approve on this implement state for draft block. When we call this approve method on this state, we only want this when the state is pending review can change the state from pending review to the published. So on the other state, it will not change the state. So in the draft block, we will just return self. And in pending review block, approve, this will return a box hold a published instance. And in this published block, approve, it will return self. Let's also add a approve method on this post struct. In this IMPL post block, let's add a public function approve. This method, just like this request review method, take one parameter, $mute self. This method body also is if let sum I equal to self state take. In this block, self the state equal to sum I the approve. When we call this approve method, if the state is draft or published, it will stay the same state. If the state is pending review state, it will change to the published state. Let's add another function to this trait state, f1 content. And we need to add the left-hand parameter a to this function. This function will take two parameters. First is ampersand self, second is post, and the type is ampersand a post. Returning type is ampersand a str. Method body by default will return an empty string slice. This content method in this trait state has a method body, so it's a default method. In this draft struct and this pending review struct, we don't need to implement this method. But in this published struct, we need to override that method, so function content. In this method body, we need to return ampersand post content. Because this post parameter, we don't want to take the ownership, so we use a reference to this post type. And returning type, we want to return the reference to part of this post. So that's why we add the left-hand parameter to make sure that reference to the part of this post will be valid. Let's also add a content method to this post struct. So in this IMPL post block, let's add a public f1 content method. This method will take one parameter, it's ampersand self. Returning type is ampersand str. And in this method body is self the state. This self state value is option type value. So we use as ref method to create a reference to the inner value in this option. And then we use unwrap method to return the inner value in this option. So it is a box hold an instance of this struct, draft, or pending review, or published. Because this struct all implement this state trait, so they can all call this content method. After unwrapped, we call the content method. This content method take this post parameter is a reference to this post. So this self is an instance of this post, so we can pass a reference this self as an argument to this content method. Let's go to main function to create a new instance of this post. let's create a mutable variable post equal to post new. This new function will create a new instance of this post with state initial value is some hold box, and this draft instance in the box, and the content will be an empty string value. So let's call the add a text method on this post to add some text to the content, like hello. Let's use println macro to print out the content of the post. We will call content method on this post. Let's use request review method on this post to change the state from this draft to pending review state, and copy this println and print out the content of this post again. Last, let's use approve method on this post to change the state from pending review to published, and copy this println to print out the content of the post. In our terminal, let's cargo run. You can see in the first two lines it will print out an empty string, and the last it will print out a hello. Because when the state is draft, when we call this content method, it will return that empty string, and also when the state is pending review, it also will return this empty string. But when we call this request review and then we call this approve method, state will become the published. So when we call the content method, it will return the content of the post. This is about state pattern in Rust. Hope see you next time.